Today on Front End Fire, Vite Plus hits beta, Vercel is using Zig, and Vercel is courting the monorepo microservice apps. There is a lot to get into this week. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Front End Fire, the weekly podcast that helps you stay up to date on the latest and the greatest in the front end world. I'm your host this week, Paige Niedringhaus, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Jack Harrington.
Helps me stay up to date, that's for sure.
And TJ Van Tol.
Hey everybody, I'm excited for the triple V episode. We got Vercel.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
It's all Vercel, all Vite, all the time. So let's get into the news.
Let's do it.
All right, since two of our topics are Vercel, let's go ahead and space them out a little bit. So, Jack, would you like to kick us off with the first piece of Vercel news?
Oh, Vercel, what have you done now? So, Vercel came out with this thing called Vercel Native. And I'm like, what? So it's basically, it's a competitor with, I would say, in a weird way, React Native, Electron. The idea is that you're building desktop apps, which is okay. I guess that's something that they would want to do. And here's some interesting things about it. So I actually compared like native, this Vercel Native to React Native and Electron. With Vercel Native, it's in Zig, which is kind of interesting. So it's like there's no JS, no TS, no nada, which seems really an interesting choice for Vercel.
No Rust?
Yeah, right? That was like, even the choice on that one was kind of, okay. And let's see. So what else? It's because it's Zig, it's also incredibly fast, incredibly small. There's no bundle browser or anything like that. So yes, it is odd, but for that you get a ton of performance. The only problem is that the module ecosystem is small. The layout is unlike anything you've seen. There is like an XML format that they use to do the layout and all that, but it's a whole new containerized layout system and everything. Let me get some from their like blog post on this. Some of the things that they were concerned about from the start, which is one, beautiful by default, which I thought was kind of interesting. So they come out with like, their own like glassmorphic thing and all that. I didn't really see all that much. In my experiment, it wasn't all that beautiful, but it wasn't bad looking, which is kind of cool. There's design tokens and all that. And then obviously designed for AI development. I guess in a world where you don't even actually care what the thing's written in. I mean, I guess why not write it in Zig? So, there you go. But yeah, it's an interesting project for them.
That was just going to be my first thing is if you're looking for developers to actually know Zig, I think that pool is very small. But if you're leaning on the developers of today who don't care or are fine just, giving it a quick browse and making sure it works the way that they expect it to, maybe that's a decent choice.
Well, and they're a hosting company at the end of the day. That's how they make their money. So if the thought is they already have tools to help people sort of vibe code apps. And so if the thought is we're going to help people vibe code native apps, maybe there's some sort of hosting play in here. I don't really know. It's an interesting target, especially after we just talked. Dino just built a like Electron competitor sort of thing. And now we have Vercel attacking this as well. I will say on the Zig note, if there's the common complaint of Electron is that it is a bit slow and it's a bit clunky. So if you're going to attack Electron, this seems like a viable way to do so on sort of a performance front. And with Zig, I guess, like I said, my thought on the angle here is that this is for people to just vibe code around to build performant native apps. At least that's my take on it. But I'm a little confused also.
Yeah, I mean, I could see doing like high performance dashboards in this maybe, or point of sale systems, kiosk stuff, things like that. Although I will say in the case of kiosk stuff, So my experiment with this was that I actually connected this Zig native application to Tanstack AI and used the AGUI protocol in between the two so they could talk and do the chat stuff. But here's the problem, though. I wanted it to actually show images. And there's this whole thing about images being too large and like 512 by 512 being the maximum size of image they wanted to handle. I'm like,
Oh,
what is that? 512 by 512? That's like, one of those like kids cameras from like the mid 90s, like the ones that people use now with like retro future stuff, like 512 by 512. So little things like that. But I thought it was cool. It's very nascent, very, very early days. It's funny. I don't really usually see Vercel doing anything without like a profit motive or something attached to it.
Well,
I'm who's paying for this?
That's why I brought up. I don't know how there's usually a hosting play in this, and I'm just kind of scrolling around and I'm not seeing it. I don't know. So it's
not like it's a small effort. I mean, this is it's a lot of code. What that means nowadays, I don't know, because code is
we can
almost
generate
free
code like that, right?
Although I will say, to your point about like readability and maintainability and that kind of stuff, I read the Zig for my little app, and it was pretty cool. It's pretty easy to read, so it's not crazy. It's basically it's like now people are starting to learn that like all these languages are pretty much the same except for like your oddball Lisp type stuff. It's all the same.
It's especially when you don't have to understand the specific syntactic details. That's the bit that always used to get you. It's like the little, does this end with a semicolon? What's the syntax for calling a function? Those were the things you'd always trip up on.
Yeah. What's the difference between a double equals and a triple equals?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sort of stuff that no longer matters.
Apparently not.
Well, it doesn't, because you could easily just with your AI figure that stuff out.
Yeah,
it's like the high level stuff that matters. So
explain this line to me. Yeah, that's so crazy. Oh my god, what world do we live in? I don't even know.
That is interesting. I'm just still like hung up on Zig as the chosen language instead of anything else that is more, I don't know, used or like relevant to developers. But sure, why not?
Yeah, I like. Was it the bun thing? Because bun is what put Zig on the map, at least in my mind, mentally.
And then bun left Zig.
And then bun left Zig, right? Like last month. So were the guys that built this like last month like, whoa, wait a what? Well, I guess we're pretty much done with this thing. We're just dotting the I's. I guess we can't go, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, spend the extra month, go with Rust. Because you get a lot more. Like, that's the other thing. Like, there's not a lot of a module ecosystem here. So unless what it can do is in their base libraries, you're going to be building that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on this and see what comes. Maybe Vercel will be mobile hosting in the not too distant future.
Well, at the moment, it's just desktop, which is even further constrained. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. TJ, you've got some non-Vercel news.
We have Vite news. So Vite Plus is now in beta. And as a reminder for people, Vite Plus is their quote unquote unified toolchain for the web. So it is a build tool. It's a CLI that brings together Vite, so the build tool and dev server we all know and love, with their formatter, Ox format, their linter, Oxlint, their test framework, vtest, and some other tools as well. It's kind of one sort of package to overrule or to unify all of these tools. And the beta specifically is about stability. So they say there's 180 plus fixes. There's better compatibility across operating systems and shells. So there's no giant new features here, but it's just a stability release and helping people get ready for an actual production 1.0 release of this. This is interesting because, just to remind people, Vite Plus was started at VoidZero, which was Evan Yu's company that he raised VC funding for. And this was initially intended to be their monetization scheme. They had free and paid plans for using Vite Plus, and then they backed away from doing this. And then last month, they were acquired. VoidZero was acquired by Cloudflare. So this is now happening entirely under the Cloudflare umbrella and is all just completely free and open source. So this is available to anybody to use. So you can jump in on the beta if you want to try it out. I personally have not tried it. I'm just going to wait for the 1.0 final release to play along with this thing. But it is kind of cool to see this happening, and now happening under Cloudflare.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Pivoting back to Vercel, because that is the second half of this show. Vercel in I think maybe a decision that makes more sense for them pricing wise, they have created a thing called Vercel Services. And the idea or the explanation behind services is it lets devs run multiple frameworks. So think like front ends in Next.js, back ends in Python, Django, or Flask, or what have you, in inside of one Vercel project on a shared domain. So instead of having to deploy your microservices on one domain and your front end on another because you're using whatever Vercel offers for Next.js or some other combination, you can have everything running in one place in Vercel. So it's great for monorepos where maybe you have multiple things that make up your one application, or for microservices or APIs that all feed into one front end, which is a pretty common pattern if you were doing web development maybe 5 or 10 years ago, and is still pretty common today, I think. But yeah, it's basically Vercel wants to be your one-stop shop for everything, and especially if you have multiple smaller repos that make up your one larger repo, they want to make it really easy to do that. And if you decide to go with this, your services can talk to each other on the private internet, so they don't have to go over the public internet to be able to interface. You have just a vercel.json file, which is kind of like a Docker compose, if you've ever seen that, which tells it how to spin up the services, what kind of, run commands or build commands they need to start, which ones can talk to one another. You don't have to do any reverse proxies or cores. And they have the auto-detected and auto-provisioning of frameworks, so it can recognize what your service is and just kind of set it up for, to be able to run. It's a pretty interesting new beta, public beta that they've released for it.
Yeah,
nice.
And to your point, this one makes more sense as to Jack's comment earlier that you tend to put into
this one is like straight up.
How are they making money off of it?
Yes.
This is very obvious how they're making money off of this. And I think this is pretty compelling because I know that most of the stuff that I work on and run, there's some sort of layer to how you're going to sort of piece all these things together. And it's the sort of stuff that people like us, like I said, I think especially front-end developers, it's the sort of stuff we don't like working on. We want to build our little UIs, and we want them to just magically talk to a database and magically have all those connections in place without having to think about it. And today we use some combination of we have, at Blues, we have AWS and Terraform and all this stuff that sort of pieces that together. And it's stuff that I typically don't work on. But especially looking at something like this, if I wanted to set that up for a side project or something like that, I could definitely see this being compelling immediately for me. So I think they're onto something here.
Yeah, you almost always needed a database, at least. Yeah. Right. So being able to have a Vercel JSON file that's okay, you're going to need not, I guess, MySQL or MongoDB or whatever, spin that up too.
Well, and that's kind of the thing that they tout towards the end after they've described and kind of helped you understand how it works and how it's set up, is that they offer all of these other things under the same roof. You've got isolated compute sandboxes for your AI agents to run in. You have persistent WebSocket connections if you need that for your backend. They have database provisioning from all of the big players with one click, just drop in API keys or set up your Amazon AWS DynamoDB or Neon or Supabase or really whatever. They have durable workflows. They have cron jobs. Vercel wants to offer you everything that you may possibly need and more to keep you in their ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think that gets into the downside of this for developers is this does sound like some pretty heavy Vercel lock-in if you go to do this. This is Which again, from a business perspective for them, like, oh man, that
Well,
makes
yeah.
a ton of sense, right? If
Yeah.
you want to get, you need more Vercel services, well, great, just add them to this config file, just keep loading them
This
on.
Vercel
But
specific config file.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Vercel.json.
But, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, lock-in isn't necessarily a horrible thing if you're getting value out of it. So if this ends up being good and you go in knowing what knowing what you're getting yourself into, I could still see this being really cool.
Yeah. And maybe you're one of those companies that doesn't have full-time infra engineers, so you don't want to have to deal with AWS, which is still an awful user experience.
Yes.
Or, there's a lot, or you don't want to use Cloudflare for whatever reason, or you're building a Next.js app and it really does make sense to host on Vercel. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of upsides and downsides to this. But yeah, Vercel is really they're really seeming to hone in on the things that they have not supported yet in order to be everything to everyone, which is interesting.
Well, it feels a lot like Railway. At least, I mean, I know, I'm sure that there are other vendors out there too, but the one I'm familiar with is Railway, that has like these template files where it's like, okay, spin up a database, spin up a message bus, and blah 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 blah, and it just does all the connections, all the wiring, and then the next thing you know, it gives you a nice graphical interface, doot doot doot, and there you go. You're like, oh wow, there's my topology, there's my little, my little cloud. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so we'll keep you posted on how that progresses. But wow, Vercel's got all the stuff this week. All right. I think that kind of wraps up our main news for today, but I know that we have some lightning news.
Woo!
All right, so I got a laundry list of small things here, and
I love it.
And then one fun thing at the end. But
Cool.
The first on my list is Safari now has an MCP server. So there's a blog post about this that you can read about on the WebKit blog. It is new. It's only in their technology preview, and it is behind a flag. So if you want to try this today, you're getting yourself into some experimental world to try it out. But it does look pretty cool because it's an MCP that lets you do a lot. I was surprised. This isn't just sort of a DevTools MCP. So they have tools where you can create a tab, navigate to a URL, list network requests, set viewport size. It's pretty expansive what you can do with this. So this is another one where I'm just kind of waiting for it to become a little bit more stable when I play around with it. But once it is, I could totally see myself experimenting with it, or at least having it installed locally. And just for the show, just wanted to give an FYI that this exists.
I think this is absolutely critical. You need, this was not a nice to have. This was a must have in this world.
I was just going to say, if this had been out 2 weeks ago, it would have saved me so much development time, because very specific use case, but SVGs and zooming in on them does not work the same on Chrome as it does on Safari, which I learned the hard way after a user had reported an issue with it. So it was me and Claude and me opening up Safari because Claude couldn't do it through Playwright or anything else, verifying changes and giving it feedback. And if Claude had been able to do this via the Safari MCP, that would have been really great.
Well, it is now available, so you can install the preview and check it out.
One app that I was working on just recently, I wanted it specifically to fit within one page of an iPad screen kind of deal. And I didn't know this, but behind the scenes, Claude CLI was literally just automating Chrome instances and then, setting the viewport size and all this. And I would kind of flip over to Chrome and be like, oh, whoa, okay, there you are, doing this stuff. And it's it would, taking snapshots and all that. But yeah, nowadays, if I wanted this to be compatible on Safari, you absolutely need that MCP server. So good for them, but required.
Yep. All right. Next on my list is Claude Tag, which is Anthropic's way of letting you add Claude to your Slack. And Anthropic's had a couple different ways of connecting to Slack before, but this is the first one that I guess it feels like you're actually inviting Claude like it's a coworker. into your Slack chat. And so, of course, we enabled this immediately because we're insane people. And so I'll just read from the blog post, then I got to tell you my experience with this. So with Claude Tag, everyone in a given Slack channel can access a single Claude identity. System administrators will specify which tools, information, and channels Claude can access, and each Claude identity will stay scoped to whichever channels the admins define. But Claude Tag, this one's relevant to my experience, Claude Tag also features an ambient mode that proactively jumps into the chat of its own accord to keep your team updated, flag things from across the organization, and follow up on threads or tasks that have been forgotten.
Me lovey. Absolutely love it. Yes.
Paige, have you tried this before? I saw you shaking your head. Or
so I read about it I think at the beginning of this week, maybe in probably the same press release that you read. I watched the video. One of my coworkers asked if we could put it into our Slack channel. Our CTO said no, that there was too much customer information in there that he didn't feel comfortable enabling it immediately. Maybe we'll get it sometime soon. I am very, very intrigued though.
So we installed it, and we have some of the same concerns. So we scoped it to 2 channels essentially, and the one we use the most is we have like an AI chat where we just bring up news, kind of like on the show for discussion and stuff. And we brought Claude into that channel. And the first thing Claude started doing is defending Claude. So in this AI chat, like anytime we would complain or have a thing, Claude would proactively jump in and go like, hey, did you know about this feature that I have? And this is available. And then the biggest thing we've had to tell Claude to do, though, is to shut up, because it just keeps chiming in. Like we're just having a chat that has nothing to do with Claude, and then all of a sudden Claude chimes in, and Claude doesn't talk like a normal person who just drops a sentence. Claude just drops 6 paragraphs
for sure. Yes,
out of the blue. And like that ruins, it's like it doesn't understand how chat works, because then you can't scroll through this stupid thing because you just have Claude dropping this bomb that's actually genuinely not been helpful. It's just
I love it.
I will say though,
Opus 4.8 got really wordy.
We have the same problem with PRs, which is when you ask Claude to do a PR summary or whatever, it can't make it succinct. Even if you tell it to be succinct, it cannot find a way to be succinct. It's just a lot.
Actually, I can't tell whether I'm getting dumber and it's staying the same, or whether it's like going up a couple of grade levels, because there's definitely times when I'm like, the way that it phrases stuff is like, graduate level degree stuff. And you're like, this is taking me a while just to parse your phrasing on this,
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I was just right before we recorded this. I was in a PR, and the PR had a Claude summary, and I'm looking through this and going, exactly what you said. I don't know if Claude's just bad at summarizing this, or if I've just gotten bad at reading reports, because I had to read it 3 times to try to make sense of it. And so I don't know. But for the purpose of Slack, if you're comfortable giving access to it, I will say we've had fun with it, but overall our opinion is the current version is more annoying than it is useful. So maybe do what we did and just put it in like a lesser important thing so you can kind of try it out. But this is another just FYI, this exists if you have a Claude subscription for your company and want to try it out.
Have you actually had it triage anything? Like, kind of like in the video where it's like, oh, I see that this thing has been done for the back end, but front end hasn't been hooked up. Should I take care of that? And it just like does it. Have you done that?
There was one thing we were discussing, and it was just way too verbose to be helpful. Because when you're trying to look into an issue, there's an art to you don't want noise, because you're trying to quickly figure out a problem. So having an AI chime in with just like a vomit of things is actually kind of the last thing you want. If it's got like a clear answer, obviously you want that, but it just tries to be helpful. So it just chimes in immediately with all this vomit, and there might be some usefulness in there, but it's just at that moment, that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. I just see this increasing Slack's bills. So, because I think that they bill,
Great
I'm
already.
not
Big
sure.
already.
Right. You have X amount of free messages or messages until your billing cycle goes up. And I'm sure this is going to contribute to a lot of people getting
And
booted off the free plans.
And your Anthropic bills, because who knows what it's doing in terms of tokens behind the scenes, because it's just, I don't have a sense of what it's actually doing or how many tokens it's using. It's all just kind of magically happening in the background.
Have you guys seen Project Hail Mary, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've read the book.
Oh, okay.
The movie was good. I watched it a couple weeks ago.
The movie's fantastic. But I'm on the case of like getting dumber, like at a certain in big Slack bills. I mean, at a certain point, like it's gonna the AI is gonna need to like make us a little movie of like, okay, here's what we're doing. We're doing like a little like cartoon, like oh, I get it. And that would like our Slack bills would be monstrous because it's hosting all this video and creating all this video just for our stupid brains.
Now that we're completely off the rails, I saw a video editor that we use. That I know Jack uses some, and that I use, Descript. They have an MCP server, and I'm like, who's automatically creating videos? I don't know if we're.
I do know for sure. Like there's a ton of that.
Well, yeah. So I guess this is for if you want to YouTube slop it up. Now there's a more efficient way of doing it. But
because we needed that.
It is funny that like Descript is becoming kind of the more manual approach when it is very AI. Like it's always been an AI thing. The whole point of it is like it's an AI based editor where you go in and it does a transcript and you edit the transcript, and it's very nice. It's a fantastic editor.
That's more like ML AI, Jack. That's like legacy
it's
AI
old
at this
school
point.
AI,
Yeah,
right, exactly. Now it's like
still
now
programmatic.
you just give AI like, hey, I me need video about Vercel Native. Make video good.
Make professional. Make
professional. Yeah. Professional. Make
benefits.
now. We're like going more off the rails. We're like the guys in Star Trek. The Packlids. Like make video good now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to take us completely off the rails because every once in a while, I like to bring up a lightning news story that has nothing to do with tech, but which I can't not discuss. And I saw probably the most random headline I think I've ever seen. So, quote from here: museum honors a late artist by covering its floor in enough peanut butter to make 15,000 sandwiches.
Perfect.
Explain.
No notes.
So more than 800 pounds of peanut butter, enough for around 15,000 sandwiches, has been spread across the floor of a museum in the Netherlands in tribute to Dutch artist Wim Schippers, who died last month.
Oh, no.
The conceptual artist who died at the age of 83 first created the peanut butter floor in 1969. So this is apparently something that they've done before. And prior to his death, Schippers discussed how to recreate the work in the future, producing a 20-point plan that included the requirement to apply the peanut butter, quote, as smoothly and boringly as possible, and that, quote, no one is supposed to stand in or lie down on the peanut butter.
That's just so wrong. That is so wrong. I mean, one, this is like the ultimate dog exhibit. And it's hilarious because the dogs are going to get in there and they're just going to be trying to like, oh my God, that's a miss right there. Oh my God, can't. And then of course there's all like the weird, fetish fantasy thing going on there that like you're getting rid of. Like why cover the floor in peanut butter if you're not going to do anything cool with it?
Was this art? I don't understand.
I mean, come on.
You can click the link in the show notes or the description on YouTube if you want to see this thing. I'll tell you, it's exactly what you think it is. It's just a museum floor with a bunch of peanut butter applied to it.
Boringly.
And they have quotes from people that went to see it, and most of the quotes are just, it smelled like peanut butter. That's
it would.
That's the biggest takeaway.
Actually, I'm impressed by that because I mean, after a while, it's going to go off. Like it's not, and
oil,
chunky or smooth, and then there's like the weird, like have you guys gotten like that boutique peanut butter where it's like super oily and like,
you have to stir it. because it
Oh,
separates.
is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm used to like
It's natural.
like the ultra processed crap that like
Yeah.
it's just like,
No, the
Yeah.
natural stuff, you have to stir it so that the oil gets reabsorbed into the peanut butter before you use it, because it naturally separates.
That's the way to do it. And it's more manual work, but it is better if you take the time to stir it. There's no notes in here which type of peanut butter that was used for this exhibit. They do say in the blog post that the artist did specify that he preferred the Dutch peanut butter brand Calvé. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And that the company donated 40 tubs of peanut butter for the work. So
I bet it's processed.
in comparison to I don't know.
Is it a gallon?
I don't know.
Is it 5 gallons?
Yeah. Okay, so the one thing, though, if you have a dog, just FYI, there are on the peanut butter front, there are these dog toys that are basically like it's a trackball, and the trackball sits in peanut butter, and then they just can sit there and like lick the trackball and try to get the peanut butter off, and they love this. This is like, and the dog will spend hours on this. So, definitely a way to like, if you got a dog that like needs something to do, peanut butter on a trackball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even we used to this is probably only for bigger dogs, but if you just give them an empty jar, that's just like entertainment for forever, because they can't totally get in there, but they will try, and they will try till the end of time.
I have small dogs, so they'll like put their whole head in there, and then you get the great photograph of them walking around with like a peanut butter jar in their head. It's great. So good. And then you got to give them a bath, but whatever. It's all good. Oh, that was great.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many questions about how you get enough credibility as a person or an artist that you say something like this or you do something like this and somebody agrees that that is art and worth coming to see or put in a museum. Kind of like the banana that was duct taped to a wall that sold for who knows how much and had to be replaced because the banana would just rot over time, as a banana does.
Tend to do. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And that was art that sold to some crypto bro for just tons at auction.
Another thing I don't get, I mean, this is just a logistical thing, and this is because I've done deck staining before, and there's a logistical problem of like, it's a room, it's easy enough to like spread peanut butter on one half of a room, maybe, but then you start getting into like, okay, you got the corner, now I got to like come around and like,
you
got to
be careful that you get it right, because I'm imagining you're doing like an expanding out sort of situation.
Oh, is that how you do it?
Well, that's my thought.
I guess.
But you got to be careful though that you don't screw up, because if you have to if something gets messed up in the middle, then what are you going to do?
That's what I'm saying. Do you get like a long spreader pole? Because if it's got to be consistently thin,
right?
I don't know, man. Like,
Do you have the spackle on an extension pole so you can get in there?
Yeah, I feel like a really
one of
long
those bowling pin robots, like the ones that clean the lane to like spread it and smooth it.
But if you're in Rotterdam, maybe head out, check it out, give us a report from the ground.
There you go.
Oh, any other lightning news we want to talk about? No? All right. Let's go on to what's making us happy. All right. TJ, why don't you start us off this week?
The World Cup is making me happy, and there's just been a lot of really good games recently. So you had England beating Mexico 3-2 in an insane game in Mexico City, where England they had a person red carded and they had to defend with 10 down the last stretch of the game. So that was really, really dramatic and a really good game. You have Argentina coming back. Well, Argentina beating Cape Verde in a really weird game. And then Argentina coming back from 2-0 with about 10 to 15 minutes left in the game, scoring 3 goals right at the end. So it's just been really, really enjoyable, because lots of times these games, the best teams just kind of roll over their opponents. And France has been the only team really doing that. So France has been cruising, and they might cruise all the way. But there's been just a lot of really entertaining games, and I've liked having it on. And some of the best games are still to come.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch. Yeah, just
I'm glad
no
you're
notes.
keeping us up to
Agreed.
date on this because, like, once the U.S. lost, it feels like all the media attention, at least in the U.S., has been poof. You know, it's like, okay, don't care about that game anymore. Like, you're transiently interested in soccer there for a half second.
Yep. Well, as we record this, there's 7 teams left. France is in the semis. We got Argentina and Spain are the other 2 favorites they're still around. England's still in it. Norway. Yeah, I'll keep you abridged, but I'm just enjoying the games because they've been really good.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. All right, Jack, what's making you happy this week?
Well, speaking of bowling, actually. My nephew was like, hey, you want to go do some bowling? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go bowling. And so as couples, we went out and did bowling. And as it turns out, bowling has changed a lot in the decade since I bowled last. And nowadays, like, well, one, it's wildly expensive. So it was like $40 for a lane for an hour. I was like, are you kidding me right now? You know, yeah, they had like a discount. It was like half. I'm like, that's still a lot because he got like 2 hours. And I'm like, well, one, dude, 2 hours of bowling when you haven't bowled in a while is like a lot.
Yeah,
it's like
you get tired, actually.
You get really tired. My wife was like, I'm not even going to do it. Like, you know, because I don't want to mess up my arm. And, you know, so it was 3 of us spending, you know, like, yeah, we didn't do all 2 hours. But the other thing is, like, the technology has like taken yet another jump. Like, I remember, like, I thought the technology was pretty cool that they had like animations and little movies and little things like that. No. Now you get like full on speed gauges and all, like, it is bonkers. The level, it's like baseball level of data that you get on this thing. You're like, I don't know about this stuff, but whatever. And then of course you can pick like a theme. There's like multiple different games you can have. Like, it's wild the amount of changes in bowling. Who knew?
This must have been like one of those newer, like fancy bowling places, not like Tropicana, where it's been there for 40 years and hasn't changed since it was first set up.
I guess. I mean, this is at least in Portland. Yeah, this is Kingpins, and it's a franchise. And I mean, it was pretty. It was definitely updated. Like, I mean, we have like the skanky bowling lanes, you know, over in Milwaukee that are great. You know, they like the home of some weird championship. I don't know, the so and so's Memorial Championship or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're like old school, you know, kind of thing. But this one, like, I mean, whoa, they've got, you know. Yeah, all the stuff that they had, a bar, full arcade, tons of lanes, you know. And I'm sure they can do like the disco nights and all that too.
We've got kind of a combination of that in Atlanta. We've got like the old school ones that have not been updated since they were created in 1960. And then we have like the painted pin is the one that I'm thinking of.
Oh,
and it's got,
that just sounds fancy.
Yeah,
it does. It is super fancy. Like, they have better snacks and they have a full bar and they have games if you don't care about bowling. And it's just like super bougie inside and probably is about the same price wise as what you're describing.
I feel like that's the model, though, because, I mean, arcades have kind of went this way. Most of them have went away, but the ones that have existed are the ones that sort of modernize. They put in a bar, they put in some fancier snacks, and the sort of the Dave and Buster's sort of model. And I that was the way forward for that. And I think bowling alleys are the same sort of thing, because it used to be. I mean, I've also not been bowling in a decade or two, but I used to do it a lot. But I feel like it used to be there was less to do, so you would just be around with your friends and say like, well, let's go bowling.
Yeah.
Whereas now we have more endless entertainment options in the palm of our hands, and so it's harder for bowling alleys to compete with that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to do it. That's the other thing. It used to be cheap. You know, you'd just show up and you'd rent some shoes and you'd have your cheap beer, and that was good.
Yep.
That was a night.
Cheap beer, cheap pizza, cheap bowling. That was part of the appeal.
I wonder how long it's going to be until we get like you show up at the bowling lane and it's going to be like a QR code, and then it's going to kind of become like you scan it on your phone, and then you can like take bets on like, yeah, is this guy going to, you know, put it in the gutter, you know, on this one? Who's going to win? Yeah. Like games within the games kind of thing.
I mean, there's probably already
Yeah, probably.
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Bring AI to the bowling alley.
Oh, Lord.
I don't even know what that means, but
They'll figure it out.
yeah.
Oh my God, these kids, 2 lanes down from us were these kids. And they were unbelievably good. Like they had kind of did this thing where they like held the ball with both hands and they sort of spun it. And you're like, I don't know what that is. But like they were hitting strikes like almost every one. It was like, whoa, impressive. But again, like how much money are you spending on this? Like show up at these places and it's like, I'm guessing they're on a league or something because dang, I mean, incredible.
All right. So what's making me happy is a TV series. It is a spin-off of Yellowstone, if any of you have watched it, and it's called Dutton Ranch. So there's 2 spin-offs right now. There's Dutton Ranch, which is the one that I enjoyed, which is very much like Yellowstone, but it's just some of the original characters in Texas instead of in Montana where Yellowstone was set. So it's the same idea of cowboys and cows and just translate it to Texas and you've got great drama and all kinds of intrigue and, people getting together who should be mortal enemies and making enemies and vice versa. So if you like that kind of cowboy drama, Dutton Ranch will be right up your alley. And the other spin-off, which I watched but I didn't really enjoy as much, was called Marshals. And it was another character from the Yellowstone series, but it's more of like a police procedural, but in Montana still. So I didn't get into it as much. You might enjoy it if you like that kind of thing. I just felt like it was a complete ripoff of like
is that
the
same
original.
writer? Because like he was like he is so prolific. Like it was like 3 series running simultaneously.
Yeah, the characters are based on his characters. Taylor Sheridan is the writer that you're thinking of, but I think it was a different writer who wrote this. And I think it was a different writer who wrote both of them, but Taylor Sheridan was more involved in the Dutton Ranch series than he was in this other one. And it shows, you can see it for sure. But yeah, I don't know how he has as many projects going at the same time as he does right now and keeps his hands in all of them somehow, but it's amazing. Yeah.
I've still not seen any of these shows, but I just find it funny how this is like a full cinematic universe at this point.
It
really is.
Yeah.
It's like the Western universe,
This is Paramount's cinematic universe of cowboys, and the Paramount app is still terrible. It is still absolutely garbage on your TV if you're curious.
So bad.
It's so bad. I don't know how they have not fixed it and made it better, but it's so bad still.
Well, they've had corporate drama, and then there's more corporate drama because Comcast and NBC are now splitting. So the mergers and the unmergers in this world are
good with more unmergers.
Hard to follow.
Yeah, I changed up from. I used to have like my home entertainment system was like pretty complex. I had like an Xbox, a PS5, Google Chromecast, Switch, and those are all. And what I ended up realizing was like we only just watch streaming stuff, and we just basically jump between the Xbox and the Chromecast.
Yeah.
And so I just changed over to an Apple TV, and that's it. Like that's the only box that I have on my TV now, and it's great. And I gotta tell you, like the one thing that I want to do is like scrub like wildly, like scrub like an hour into a show, like particularly like F1. I don't want to see all the preamble stuff. I just literally scrub to the end of the formation lap, and I'm like, and then when the guy says there's 5 lights on and go, that's exactly where I want to start. Okay, right. I don't want to see anything else. Like, and it literally, it's just like zoop, and you're there. It's like the best scrub feature ever, which is like it was one of the things that Paramount gets so wrong is scrubbing. It's just so bad.
To be fair, that's one of the, I feel like, the hardest challenges of a video player, because the tech behind doing that to process that much video that quickly, because Netflix's scrubber is quite good. Also, that's the one that comes to mind as being good. And I've used some YouTube TVs is pretty good, all things considered. It's not as smooth as some others, but it's good enough. Because I do that on YouTube TV all the sports. It's especially, I'll turn on the World Cup game. turn on the World Cup game, it's 2-0. Well, what do I want to see? I want to see the 2 goals. So of course I'm going to scrub back and find,
yes, exactly.
and
just
find
you're
those
watching
as the first
the
thing
score.
I do.
It's like 0-0.
Yep,
1.
exactly.
Okay,
that.
whoops. Hold on.
Yep. Now let's go back and
there you go.
Exactly.
Okay, what was the play? There you go. Nice cross. Well done.
Tips.
Yeah, exactly. Get a playback device with good scrubbing.
Mm-hmm. That is what consumers care about. I want to
That's
fast forward through commercials, and I want to be able to scrub.
And that's like I started. We watched like Project Hail Mary like 5 times. We read the book and we loved it, and so we watched the movie and we watched it over and over and over again. And my wife is like, "You just go to the good scenes, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just go to the good scenes." And she's like, "I've never watched a movie that way." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Just do it." And now she started doing that. I'm like, why bother? Like, why bother with all the
if you're
cruft?
rewatching
Just
it, I
go to
feel
the
like
good scene.
sure, if you because you know what happens. So
oh yeah, no,
just,
you like not the first time, obviously, but like
yeah.
Instant gratification society.
Instant
It's getting worse.
Paige and I know about this, right? I'm waiting for my guitar. She's waiting for her car. You know, it's like we're Americans. We want it now.
Right. We can't wait for anything. I need Amazon to deliver it to me today if I'm ordering it in the morning.
Today?
Yeah.
Like more like an hour from now. Like, hello.
Yeah,
I want instant
I'm
shipping.
paying $10 a month for this service. Come on, chop chop.
Exactly. My life would be changed without this product. I need it now.
Oh. Well, I think that is going to wrap us up for today. So thanks to everybody who's listened to our tangents and our talk about peanut butter and how bad streaming services are in some regards and how good they are in others. If you want to chime in and tell us what your favorite streaming services are or anything else that you've seen that doesn't qualify as art but is called art, we would love to hear about it. You can join us on our Discord channel and talk all about it. We would love to debate you there.
Tell us what you've been building with peanut butter.
Right. What is your favorite brand?
I'm all in on this, by the way. I love this. I don't care.
Yeah,
like
I actually think
whatever.
this is cool.
YOLO.
Like,
peanut butter. Exactly.
Be more weird, right? That's
more,
like Portland's
more
thing,
of this,
right?
please. It's 2026. Yeah. You know, we're all going to become like cyborgs in 3 years anyway. Heck with it. Just make some peanut butter
cool
stuff. And
real
then
world
let the
touch
AI
grass
try and figure out
things.
what the heck that was. And like the AI's going over like, why did you do this? Like, because I'm a human, you idiot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Only a human is going to think
Only a human's
of covering
come
and using him with
so,
peanut butter.
so incredibly awesomely stupid as that.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. We will see you on the next episode. Have a good week, everybody.
All right. See you, everybody.
See you, everybody.